Ange's had a lot of criticism, okay? And I think that every time he speaks or does anything, whether we win or we lose right now, I think there are some out there that are looking for the negative, that are looking for the dark, that are looking for something to hound him out for some reason or another. Now, we are Tottenham, okay? And we have been here way longer than Ange Postecoglou's been here. And there are inherent problems at Tottenham. Problems that we've had for many a season under many a manager. I remember, Mourinho's Tottenham when we was 2-0 up against West Ham and we tried to consolidate, we tried to hold the ball and we tried to make sure that we won that game and we lost that game 3-2. I remember the Southampton game with Conte, the last time that we had that Southampton game with that famous rant afterwards where we collapsed after a Man City win. So these things have been inherent in us for a long time. There's been many a time that we know as fans that this club has been cursed or this side has been cursed. Sometimes we won't get the rub of the green. Sometimes every time we have something good, it goes away from us. Now that sometimes that's an injury, to our most favorite player or our most important player. Sometimes it's a kind of plague of injuries that just decimate our side. Like last year, Mickey and Romero and Maddison and then we had the red cards of Udogie and stuff. We had a really tough period, and right now we're having a really tough period too. But we know this, right? We know this. We've had these times many a time, and we know this, and we know. Even with the board and the transfers, we've made some very good transfers recently. But even like someone like Paratici comes in and he makes some great signings and he has a vision and then he gets done for his court case. And I can't remember what it was about, but, he gets done and he gets suspended and he goes, we deal with things without crying as well. I love this manager, the fact that he doesn't cry about anything. He's had to mention it a few times because it's like people forget about the injuries and stuff like that. But when you lose your 2 centre halves and your goalkeeper, that's really tough. When you've got a midfielder that you can't play because he's suspended because of something that he said during the summer, and rightfully so, punishment for the crime and all of that. But you look at Chelsea and Enzo Fernandez and you kind of go, well, what's happening there? How is it only Tottenham? But all right, we'll take it on the chin and we'll keep on going. We know how many times, not just this squad, not just this manager, but many managers and many seasons, how many times have we as fans known where the gap is, known the positions that we have needed to fill in the summer and have not done it. And have got in a loan like Longley or have got in somebody that is below quality that we're trying to get something out of. We've done this many a time. If anybody asked about this squad going into this season, we would have all said striker. We would have all said a winger, dynamite winger. Ange wanted some type of dynamic midfielder. He was after Conor Gallagher. We would have said a 6 and the left centre back stroke left back for cover over there. We knew where the gaps were going into it. Now, if anybody looks at that squad going into it, now on the face of it, on the first 11, can that first 11 challenge? Absolutely, of course it can challenge. But when you look at the squad, if we have what has actually happened now, perspired now, where we've got like 10 players out, is that squad good enough to kind of really go and challenge right now? We don't know. The majority would say no, but right now we don't know because there's a lot of unknowns in these 18-year-olds and these young ones that we've brought in. They are going to have dips. They are going to have moments. So we know this. We know all of it. We know that the club is cursed. We know that there's things that have just not gone our way for many and many a season. We know there's Sissoko handball in the Champions League final. We know these things. But this manager has come in and he's seen all of those things. And you have to remember as well, when he came in, before he came in, we was after Arne Slot, and Arne Slot decided to reject us and stay at Feyenoord for another year, and then he's ended up at Liverpool. when we've had direction and a clear vision, when we've had Frank Arneson as director of football or Paul Mitchell under Poch, you know, for reasons that we can only guess about, but mostly hinting at promises wasn't kept. Those players, those people in those positions have had to leave those positions. Paul Barber, for instance, who's doing a great job at Brighton. These people that were in high positions, that were football people, that were making good choices at the time, had to leave for one reason or another that we can only speculate about. But there has to be a reason, right? So we are now here under this manager. And like I say, before he turned up, Arne Slot didn't want to be there. We went after a couple of managers that didn't want anything to do with Tottenham, because you know why? Two serial managers, two serial winners in world football turned up at Tottenham, and the only place that they did not win was Tottenham Hotspur. And they cussed out our club. They tore it to shreds, and they told us about ourselves. They told the board about themselves, and many of what the things that they said were right, but it was not nice to hear. We had a phenomenal coach in Pochettino who said, this stadium's fantastic, but we need proper furniture. You can't buy IKEA furniture. We need to go to Harrods. If our house looks like Harrods, we need to shop at Harrods, basically. And certain things wasn't done. We know this. We know what type of Titanic team that we was like before Ange turned up. We had no direction. We were on a dip. We played some terrible football many a time. You know, like we went through that Nuno period, and well done to Nuno for doing well right now. But for us, boy, you know, he had some bright moments, but a lot of it was terrible. And you could tell under his management that it was not going to run. It was not going to work at Tottenham Hotspur. So we've had very many variations of manager. And we needed somebody like Ange, who was not afraid to look at the curse in the face, that was not afraid to look at the butt of the joke of us being #Spursy in the face, to look at the fact that we haven't won in so long and we're desperate to win and take up that mantle in the face, to look at the board and the way that we buy our players. And even though that we won't get our first choice targets, we'll get the second choice and the third choice, but he's happy to kind of go, all right, and cool, I'll take that as long as they've got the right character and the right profile that can do what I ask them to do. All right, cool, I'll take that. Okay, fine, right? Well, I'll work your way and I'll still get it done. So this guy's taken up this mantle. And you know what, in the hints and in the small flashes of greatness that we've seen, what this Tottenham side can bring, I see the long run. I see the end game. And I see that this guy needs more sympathy, more empathy, and more understanding from us, the fan base, who have been here for 25, 35, 45, 55 years and seen what is going on. That has been here under the Enoch reign and has been desperate for some type of glory, and has been desperate for us to move amongst the big boys and to be contenders, and to, you know, and so that we can walk on the street with our chest puffed out. And this guy has come in and he's gone, you know what, it's all right, I'll take it. Let's go. And you can see it. You can see it when it clicks. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. You can see it when we've got our first 11 out there. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. You can see it when we've got our first 11 out there and he can use impact subs, because our subs bench is fully fit and ready to go. And all of those are angry that they haven't started in the first 11, but they're ready to come on and make an impact. You know, we haven't been able to do that. He hasn't been able to utilize a fully fit squad for I don't know how long. You know, like I don't know how many games he's had where he's had a fully strength squad to choose from. It's been a very rare occasion. So Ange's system also relies on energy, and it also relies on very hard work and hard concentration. And with that, you need rotations and you need those 5 subs to come in, whether that's at fullback or at winger or something in midfield. You need that, because at some point, some of these players are going to start flagging. You need those impact subs. We haven't been able to do that either. So as a fan base, as the fact that we know this as Tottenham, and yes, it's frustrating, but Ange has not been carrying this bag for 20 years. He's been carrying it for a year and a half, for a season and a half right now. There's enough in the foundations. There's enough in the seed. There's enough in the green shoots to say that once this flower grows, it's going to be beautiful. But you got to stick with it. Because going around in circles and going after another manager and sacking one, you know, and being on the edge of a loss and being on the super high of a win and waiting for this guy to get sacked is not going to wait. He's not going to be the way that we're going to have success. We're not going to get Pochettino back right now. He's in a job, USA job, and he's going to be there for a while. And I don't know what would happen if he did ever come back, even though I love him to bits. The next manager that I would potentially want would be Xabi Alonso. But you know what? Xabi Alonso plays exactly the same way as Ange Postecoglou and had an unbeaten season last year. You know, he's going to come into Tottenham and he would have the exact same problems as Ange would have. And he would have a bumpy road ahead of him as well. So right now, Ange, not that he asked for it, and this is another reason why I love him as well. Not that he asked for it, and he don't. But Ange needs our sympathy. He needs our empathy. He needs our understanding. He needs our support as well as those boys need our support while they're going through a difficult time. Every time you have an argument with your missus, you're not looking to break up and pack your bag and leave and make it happen. If you love the one that you're with, you work through troubled times. You go through a storm. You might be mad and sit at the end of the sofa and she can sit upstairs. But you know what? Next day, you'll make a coffee and go, good morning, sweetheart. Do you know what I mean? And try and get through those bad times. I love my club. Inside out, upside down. I love them to bits. I love those players that go and put the shirt on and try and make it happen for us every single game. And you know what? Ange is the man that I believe has got the vision, has got the plan, and has got the direction, and has got the will to take up the madhouse that is Tottenham Hotspur and turn it into glory. But we're going to have to go through it. We're going to have to go through it. So Tottenham fans, we know where the problems lie, Tottenham fans. If anybody knows, we know. You know out there. Some of you have gone to protest for loads of different things. Some of you have come on the podcast and you've let it all out. Do you know what I mean? We know what the problems are that have been there for years and years and years and years and years. This guy is trying to change something. This guy is trying to turn it around. And he needs our support going through these tough times right now. Because to go for somebody else, it's just going to be rinse and repeat. And those that need pressure being put on them so that things can change, like buying Jack Grealish when we should buy him, like getting Bruno Fernandes when we should have got him, like getting Luis Diaz when we should have got him, like getting Diaz, the centre-back at Man City when we should have got him. There's many. We could go through it. Some have worked out for us. Some have not. You know, we know what we are. We know where we're at. You know, we haven't won titles year in, year out. Nobody is telling Pep Guardiola to change his way. Nobody's calling for his head right now. Yes, he's got much credit in the bank, but he has a style. He has a philosophy. The same with Amorim right now. Nobody's going to tell him to change from a back three for a long, long time. They're going to actually praise him for sticking to his guns. So we've got to love our manager because he sticks to his guns. We're going out there to fight regardless. We're going out there to go for glory regardless. And you can't sit back in your heels and park a bus and expect to get glory all the bloody well time. You can't. And he won't. So trust him. Some of this scintillating football, some of this champagne football, some of this beautiful winning football as well is coming and it is there, but we've got to ride this roller coaster with him and we've got to back him and we've got to see what his vision is, because in the long run it could be phenomenal. All right, I'm done.